So the other day, I looked at a job that was not as straightforward as what I normally do. My primary focus is tree pruning, removal, shrub and hedge trimming, that kind of thing. Occasionally you get projects where quoting might not always be a straightforward process. So what I usually do is just quote a set price for a job. So for example, 300, 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000, you get the idea. This particular job was removing vines from a tree. And if any of you watching this has done that, you know it can be a very tedious process and hard to predict how long it will take. Because once you get up in the tree and you start removing the vines, it might be way more involved than what you see from the ground during the initial estimate. So in these kinds of situations, I think there's two ways you can go about doing this. The first one would be to charge hourly. So whatever your rate is, and bill that way. However, I decided not to do that, and the reason why is I feel like telling customers what your hourly rate is as a tree service might kind of, be a little bit of a put off, because I've talked to other people in the industry who are charging sometimes around $200 an hour. Now, even though, let's say you're doing a $500 project, that comes out to about 2.5 hours. So there's no difference between charging $200 an hour and $500 if you're working for about 2.5 hours. But when you're doing that initial estimate and you're trying to sell the job, $200 an hour sounds a lot more outrageous than $500 for the whole project, right? Because you think about what landscapers, contractors charge, what, $75 an hour or something. So you have to look at it from the customer's perspective, because you are trying to win the job, right? So the other option, if you're not going to do an hourly rate, is to do a price range. So you have a starting minimum. Let's say, for example, $500. And then you have a maximum, meaning the final price will not exceed that maximum. So maybe $1,000. So you're talking about a $500 window. Depending upon what your goal is per hour, right? Even if you're not necessarily charging by the hour, you might still have a number in mind that you aim for. And then at the end of the job, you see how accurate you were, because that tells you whether you're underbidding or you're just right where you should be. So you give yourself that room to allow for, more time. And obviously, when you're doing the quote, explain to the customer, hey, this is the situation. I'm going to provide a price range, or if you're going to bill out hourly, I'm billing hourly. This is why, because, it's not straightforward work. It could take longer than what we anticipate. And this could also be a good way to prevent a potential issue down the road. Let's say you were to bid a set price for this kind of job, and it ends up taking way longer than you could have ever anticipated, because what you saw from the ground was not what was going on 50 feet up in the tree. To go back afterwards, after you've already committed to the job, customer agreed to your price, and then say, hey, I'm gonna have to charge more, that can create issues. Not always. Sometimes the customer might be understanding. Other times it might get somebody upset, and you have to think about how that could impact your business, even if you're just doing the right thing and you couldn't anticipate that it was going to take longer. So for those of you out there in the tree and landscaping business, or any business similar where you might encounter these situations, I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I did recently bid this job just this past week, so not sure if we're going to do it yet, but if we do, I'll try to get some footage. One of my goals for this year is to start getting better on the job footage. I'm looking at getting some more equipment, possibly helmet cams, etc., so we can get a lot more better tree work footage. So appreciate you all watching. I'll see you all next time.